And we are off, guys. Lots of green this morning. No, the future sold off 6 yesterday. So, you know, when the future sold off 6, and then we rally the next day like 8, do we really rally? Kind of making, kind of shake the head. And we are off. RDSA up 68 cents. Yeah. Sierra Ohio, WY higher, QSI higher, SFM up 43 cents. For some SFM out. They're not open yet. CCE higher, CSUN higher, double D higher. DNR up 21 cents.
Just taking a look. Looks like it's going to be down slightly. Revenues were flat, but they did seem to do a good job containing
calls are unchanged. I'm going to offer some at 75 here.
They had a favorable tax rate for the quarter from what I
always
understand.
like to put some offers in the open, you know, so if I'm not watching them later on. SD is now sharply unchanged. I blasted those March calls. Just curious to see where those March calls and SD.
Time Inc. Yeah, which we forget
March,
about.
they're basically unchanged.
And that will be interesting.
Unchanged with stock up. AXAS higher. I'm going to offer some calls here at 90. I have 20 of these left.
Old media companies, I hate to say it, but in News Corp already, in Time, and you've also got one coming from Tribune.
EMKR 4 cents, DNR +2, CSUN up a little bit, Coach up a little bit.
Assets doing on my books?
Yoku up a little bit.
Yeah, and so, but if you believe that they're going to figure it out digitally, these companies, you may see an opportunity, but it will be interesting. You're going to
Core is above 80 now.
Including Time.
That's going to be bad for my iron butterfly. I know the higher that Core goes, probably the higher the more money I'll make.
The revenue number, but they had a very strong, they had strong margins, strong cost containment.
PWR higher, QSI, I'm going to offer some calls out at 150. They're addicted to it.
Incredible. They're in there every day.
SFM up only 30 cents. Here's up a lot more this morning.
They generate a lot of free cash flow. They buy back a lot of stock. And by the way, DirecTV, also you can put into that camp, buying back a lot of stock. We'll be speaking to Mike White,
calls,
CEO of DirecTV in the next hour.
These companies throw off a lot. Content throws off a huge amount of cash.
SLB.
You see TBS, TNT.
RDSA higher.
Remember Bucas, he always says, look,
URS down 2 1/4.
and the fugitive, and people will stop and watch
down,
every time.
puts her down in value. That's called implied volatility for you.
Impossible to turn off the fugitive. Yes, or Shawshank, really. Get busy living or get busy dying. Those are short.
Kramer
that's
just
red, and
loves
that
to
is
hear himself talk.
Marshall Sam.
I don't know if I've ever met someone that loves to hear themselves talk.
A lot of names with earnings, Jim. Not huge companies, but the likes of
including myself. AXAS, I'm offering some calls at 90. Offer some calls at $1. AXAS had earnings, stock is higher. Made 2 calls. I'm going to use for 40 cents. And AXAS, I don't know if anybody has any of these on.
That is unbelievable. They see they beat by 8 cents at 50 cents.
Sanders is down now. I'm a genius. Real American genius.
Papa John, 65 cents in line.
Noble Energy higher. I was thinking about blasting some Noble Energy calls.
Interesting.
NRG calls are higher. What's the price that I sell those for? NRG. Jan 30s.
Always said there's room for everybody.
Did I buy those for 55 in NRG?
Open Table is a huge short squeeze name because a lot of
65.
people felt that Google would come in against them. A lot of people felt that Yelp had Open Table on its sites. Open Table,
I would have got long too. I'm mad I didn't do anything.
This company is the holy grail because it fills the seats like aircraft.
MWE high. I'm offering some calls at 275
and
MWE.
And this thing puts money in your.
So just sprinkles a little profits across the board. I haven't seen anything new to trade yet. Always scanning the unusual option activity.
Yeah,
you know, the market
people book
up
restaurants
8.5.
in this country, except for those of us who go in
up
and wait in line.
$1.80. Biotelemetry.
At Darden, at Olive Garden.
You wait in line at Olive Garden?
I've never been able to cut the line at Olive Garden. Never.
MSPD up $2. Nothing really there.
You can't cut the line at Chipotle.
No, I know.
Someone once offered to let me
Autodesk
be in the front of the line at Shake Shack at City Field. I said no. I mean, that's a Twitter
I'm going to offer some calls at Autodesk. I'm going to offer calls on Autodesk at 120.
I'll give you a little advice. The seats
these
where you can get the Shake Shack delivered to you,
I'm going to offer them at 120.
$12.
I'm going to offer some of the
just wait a few weeks.
as well.
Good for Danny, as we like to say.
Like I said, little nuggets of profitable trades everywhere.
I love him as a colleague. May he
Nothing
never root
crazy,
for
but I'm
teams
probably
I
up
like.
2,000, I would say today.
That is a good one.
RDSA getting a bid. Tesoro higher. What is Tesoro earnings?
Did you look at his tweet? His tweet. This guy is all in.
Tesoro earnings tonight. I'm going to take off Tesoro calls by the close. I have 10 lot of the Feb 60s left.
I mean,
Tesoro, I'll take these off by the close.
Right? Whether it be playing hard for
Chesapeake now
Barracuda,
down. Chesapeake was trading 28.90 this morning. Oops.
Yeah, he tweeted about taking the red eye in this morning, meeting with some investors before he comes down here to the exchange.
Right, he talked about how the
DLPH, guys. DLPH.
Woo!
DLPH, I'm going to offer half these out at, what did I pay yesterday? 30? I'm going to offer half my DLPH here at half. I have 10. DLPH getting a bid. DLPH, I'm offering half of my calls at half. They're 45.50. DLPH getting a huge bid here. Up a buck 60 here. DLPH.
Looks like we're getting
I'm
back
offering
to
half my
levels that
calls
were
at
somewhere
half
around
at
August,
50 cents.
158.50. Wedbush does take their
That's
target
offer.
to 205,
I'm going to offer 40%
I believe,
of them.
from 240.
I have a 10 lot.
But does any of that matter?
DLPH.
The things you've said about cult stocks in general.
Look, the next, he'll finish the battery. He'll solve the battery problem in the next
Those
quarter.
are up about
and
20
put all the
cents. I
shorts
only
to
have
shame,
10 lot of
but
them.
You gotta be perfect, and the battery. You know, I would
higher,
have signaled if I were him
KOG.
that there's some battery
FE higher by a little bit.
Right.
I just would have.
Pepsi higher by a little.
I would have just, hey, listen, we're having some battery problems.
Like
That's
I
why
have
we
little
can't produce to
green
meet the
marks that
demand.
are
It
like
would have
$100
helped ahead of
bucks,
time to
but
know that.
100
Then I think the stock would
bucks
actually be up today.
20 different
By the way,
stocks. That's
I'm sorry,
up.
David.
Stock still is up 370% this year.
Right.
Not too bad.
Well, I mean, look,
In fact, it's even better than Best Buy, which I
higher.
always like to take a look at as well.
Best Buy.
Not that they sell Teslas there. That's only up 270%.
Best Buy and
If you've noticed,
GameStop.
Richard Scholes keeps selling
Yeah,
stock.
Best Buy
and
might
why
be the
wouldn't
best stock
you?
He
out
tried
there.
to buy the company in retrospect.
At
a pretty
about
good
a
company.
third of where it is, yeah.
GME and Best Buy. Did you see?
Are you in
Call
an
of
oil
Duty?
timeout still
I
or
saw
no?
ATVI this morning.
Billion?
It was $1 billion plus
Yeah.
in retail.
YPF Jan
Is there
22s,
like
YPF
a
Jan
gaudy
22s,
version of Call of
1,300 of
Duty
these.
and a Dalai Lama?
YPF Jan
you
22s.
don't kill?
Most likely I'm not going to take a trade
Well,
here.
they
I've
just
traded
like
this one
tag
before and I've made
football.
money
They tag.
before.
Is there
But
anything
most
like
likely I'm not going
Is
to take
there
this.
one
I see a
of these
buyer
that is more
YPF
of a
Jan 22s.
nonviolent
Let me
peace in
just
our
bring
time
this up
kind of
real
thing?
quick.
I don't know.
I mean, have you seen
YPF
the
Jan
size of the
22s,
guns in that
YPF
thing?
Jan 22s.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The guns are amazing.
YPF Jan 22s.
Incredible guns.
Look at the volume versus open interest.
You don't have
1,300
video
here, the market's really wide. So bullish signal
Yeah,
here, I'm
stay
not
that
taking a
way.
trade.
Kind of
Stay that
brought the conversation to a complete halt, didn't it?
Well, I meant the guns.
Trader bought.
I
I've
mean,
traded this one
never mind.
profitably.
Go out,
The market is really wide. It
Yeah,
is
family.
YPF,
Let's check in with
2014,
Sonny,
22 and a half
with the Dow
calls.
up 60. Busy
for
floor
140.
today, Bob.
I am
YPF.
surrounded by IPOs. That's the good news.
Bullish
the bad
signal here,
news
YPF.
Is
Bullish signal
Twitter
here, YPF.
is sucking the air out of the IPO
FE
room.
today up
That's sure
57
the way it
cents.
looks to
FE
me,
up 57
standing
cents.
here. We got
PWR
$4
up a
billion
little bit.
in IPOs
NRG
this week.
up.
This is the busiest week since
MWE
2006. 1.7 billion of that
RHI
is
up.
from Twitter, but
RDSA
several
up.
companies priced last night
That's
at the
green.
low end, some below, and one didn't even price right now here. So remember, there's 3 or 4 magic words. in
CSUN,
IPO
guys,
land
on
right now.
fire, up
Social
60 more
media,
cents here.
biotech,
CSUN, I'm going to offer some calls
oncology,
here
cloud
at
computing, internet security. We
150.
had several of
CSUN
them,
higher.
Last night here. Right behind me, I'm
DLPH,
waiting for Barracuda.
I
This
tried
was
to
the one
sell some for
everybody
50,
was
I didn't
looking
get
at. This
filled.
is internet security. It's one of those magic spaces. Yet it priced at the low end of the range, $18.
on fire.
People
Solar's
were talking
been
about
on
18, 20.
fire.
Now, right now, indications are higher than that at 20 to 22. I don't know what's going on, but low end was a little bit of a surprise.
DNR
so
higher
maybe
by a
investors
little
are getting
bit.
tired with security, cloud IPO
P10
spaces.
Energy
These
up
things do have
32 cents
lifespans,
after getting
but I don't think
butchered
that's run
yesterday.
yet.
P10
Let me show you
Energy.
Avianca. This is a Latin American Airlines. Here's one that was a real disappointment. They were talking 17 to 20.
AOL higher. I was
Priced
going
at
to look
15.
at.
It just opened a moment ago. At
So I got out of
$14.
positions
So
yesterday in
17 to 20
SD.
price talk opening
Oh,
at
SD getting
$14. That was a
pounded.
little bit of a disappointment. Some of the IPOs didn't
SD
even
getting
happen
pounded.
yet. Mavenir Systems, which provides enhanced services for mobile communications, they were
SD
supposed
down
to price last
47
night. They never
cents.
made it. They don't say why. Their word
I
out
would
the
get
street
into
is
the
they're
Marches
going to
again
try
for
to
like 30
price
cents.
again tonight. Even some of the
March
yield
6s
plays aren't doing
are
so well. Out in the
65
distance right there,
cents.
it's hard to see that.
So I
out
got out
there.
of those
Spark
at
Logistics Partners, they own
96
crude oil
yesterday.
terminals. You like
For
yield?
SD,
This is
nice
one of the
sale
big ones
before
that's out
earnings.
there.
Stock was indicated higher this
7.75%.
morning.
They were pricing
SD,
at
I
the low end
blasted
of
a
the range,
20 lot of
$19
these.
to $21
almost $2,000 worth of
just
SD
opened
calls.
at $19. It's trading right now at
96 cents.
19.01.
March
See,
6th,
no big
March
pops
6th is
going
96
on.
cents.
Even some of the hot spaces aren't doing
I
very well.
blasted
So
TLM
cancer
out
and
last
biotech
night.
right now.
That stock's up 9 cents.
Karyopharm
Vivis I
Therapeutics,
blasted
that's
out.
supposed to start trading
Coach,
over at the
I mean,
NASDAQ this morning.
Chesapeake, I
They're priced
blasted
at
some calls out.
$16. That was towards the
Kinda
high
did a
end of the price
replacement
talk.
there.
But a little while ago, if this
Noble
was
Energy, you know, this is one that I always think about taking off.
above
Noble
the price
Energies,
talk.
I have some
Just
Jan
within
80s
the
on.
price talk.
I could take these
Again,
off
that's all right, but not
basically have a
particularly
scratch
great.
on
We
the
also
trade.
have another one, a web
Jan
developer,
80
Wix.com,
Nobles.
over at the NASDAQ. That's pricing at the high end. We'll see how both of these open. I guess
See how the
big
day
question
goes.
everybody keeps asking me is,
Thinking about taking
why
off
did they
Noble
do this?
Energy.
Why did they start
Chart is very
all
strong.
of these stocks, 16
I only have,
of them, in a week with the biggest
12 of
IPO
those
of the
left in
year
Noble
with
Energy.
Twitter? Why do you have such a crowded market in 1 week? Who's going to benefit from it? Obviously, not necessarily the companies. I think
You know,
the simple
SLB, I
answer
still
is your
have
friendly
calls. Those are
IPO
12 cents wide. I
underwriter
have no
are the
idea
people who actually do the money here and make things move and around. You've got to make hay when the sun shines. When the market is up, you
When
get as
the
much through as you
sun
can. We all know the IPO business is a follower. It is not a leader. When the market's at
SD
new
about
high,
to
they're
break
pushing
6.
through as much as they
SD just
possibly
broke
can.
6, guys.
And finally,
SD just
David,
broke
if you want a little
6.
more cynical comment that I've heard a number of times from trading desks, the underwriters are making it very clear to
QEP.
people, perhaps you don't like all of this stuff. Well, you should take some of it, Mr. Institutional Investor. If you don't
These
take it,
30-35 call spread, let's
your
go 1 by 2.
Twitter allocation might get cut. Who knows?
QEP.
I know, a
Earnings
little bit
today after the
cynical,
close. Looks like a trader
conspiratorial, but
is doing a
that's not been unheard
QEP
of
1 by
on
2.
Wall Street. David, back to you.
VCO.
That's the way it works, I think, sometimes, Bob. You're absolutely right. You
Lucora.
got to help us out on
Stocks
this
up a
one,
little
and we'll
bit.
help you out
See
on
some
that
activity,
one.
nothing crazy.
All right, let's head over to Chicago and check in with Rick Santelli at the CME Group.
Oil must be up today.
Well, good morning, gang. Curve steepening seems to be the watchword of the day. Look at a two-day chart of 5-year notes. Now, this is important. We've done many Santelli exchanges about 38% retracements in various parts of the yield curve, being a little
I'm
out
just
of
going to
sync,
clean
but
up
being
some.
a good way to play
I have
the
to see
curve.
when
Yesterday's
BID
high yield
has
was
no
140,
earnings.
right about where that
I'm looking to see when BID have
1.39
no.
yield
If
was
BID
on that
does not have
retracement,
earnings
which was
in
already hit and
November,
surpassed
then I'm
by
going to
the
take off my
10s.
BID
We
no
talked about how
doubles.
that's going to bring about curve steepening.
they do have
Continue to
earnings.
use as a pivot, but open the chart
Anybody have
up
an
to the
earnings for
spread
BID?
between 5s and 10s, what I'm referencing, and let's go
Does
all
anybody
the
have
way back
earnings
to
for
August of
BID?
2011. You
On
see
the
where
11th.
we're at? We're
So I'm going to leave
basically
that
at
on.
the
I just saw
highs
BMW,
in
BMW
26
calls for a
on that
dime.
spread, and I
Exit
think you
to
have to
close,
pay attention to that.
and
The
filled.
street loves the 5-year, so the
I
steepening
sold.
may continue. Now, if you look at the rest of the curve, you can clearly see how different
All
the long end is in another
BMW.
version. Look at a 2-day of 10s, 2-day of 30s. Remember, the 5s were below
no 90
both of
calls
those days, and
for
it's very
10 cents.
significant to monitor. Now, let's look at
So I'm out of
foreign
BMW,
exchange. We know
guys.
the
I
ECB
didn't want to
meets
look at this
tomorrow.
position
If you look at
anymore.
a 2-day
I
chart
had a
of the euro
10
versus
lot.
the
It's
dollar,
$100
I
that
think
I will never
most of the
see again, most
volatility
likely.
trying to
So I'll
handicap
just
whether
let's get
there's
that
an
$100
ease,
back.
out of the
So
ECB in the
BMW, I'm
next
just
several
closing my
meetings
position out.
is
This is a losing
done.
trade in BMW.
138
This
was
is a
the
losing
basic
trade.
high area of
Not every
recent
trade will be a
Now
winner.
we're hunkered down at 135.
But I think these are going to be worth zero next week, so why not at least get 10 cents? I very rarely doubt BMW is going up $10.
ISM at the best level they had in 16 years.
SD, would I
so
list
we
to initiate
continue
a
to see the
position?
pound building versus the
You
dollar.
know, nothing is a
Carl,
one-day
back
event,
to
so I had to
you.
watch it very carefully on the 5 and the daily. So on the daily chart, we have a decent tail on the bottom here. So I'd like to see where the tail is on the bottom. Possibly, if we close here, you know, buying these March 6 back, you know, have it stop at 541. Might be a good reward to risk setup. I don't think I'd buy them right here, though. Usually when a stock opens, what they do is the volatility gets smoked on the open. And the volatility slowly starts
is
creeping back.
living large in NYC. Literally. Take a look at our awesome billboard. You like
Autodesk
it,
up
don't you?
20 cents.
Well,
Autodesk up 20
now
cents.
you can have a photo
So
version
BMW
of it,
just,
signed
hey,
by the entire
a week from
squad
Friday,
on the
these are
street
worth
gang.
zero.
And all you have
BMW
to do
has to go up
is
$10.
guess Friday's
So these will be
non-farm
worth
jobs
zero.
number.
So let's just
Tweet
take
your
more.
estimate to Squawk Street. And don't forget the hashtag nail the number.
Think about
Oh,
doing
yeah.
something very similar
You have
in
to be at
Yoku.
least 18 years of age to enter.
But I'm not.
Sorry, kid. For all the official rules and details, go to sots.cnbc.com. You have until 8:29 a.m. Eastern Friday morning. Good luck.
I know the higher the better for me in the stock market. The only thing I've done today is BMW. I will always let you guys know entries and exits as they occur. Now it's the benefit of the trading room versus, you know, the trade alert as they go down. Yeah, DLPH just sold off here a little bit. I could have got 45 for them. I was trying to sell them at 50. That's what I guess for being stubborn. It's okay. LNG has earnings this week. I'll take off LNG before earnings. DHI calls being bought. No desire to trade DHI here. CSUN, guys, on fire here. If you guys are still in CSUN, these are now 130, 140. CSUN, China, Sundry. I don't know. The Nove 10s that I flagged yesterday, Nove 10s have tripled in value. Nove 10s, I decided, hey, let's give it more time. Let's give it D's. Okay. These have tripled in value. Vivis getting pounded, down 61 cents. Wendy's, pre-earnings. I would only get long Wendy's on earnings. I would not get short Wendy's at all on earnings. AMPV. You can't short the Pub Chicken Burger. You still have the Noves. Good for you. I feel like you hold a lot longer than me. I don't hold that long. Chesapeake getting pounded now. So even with that 500, I'm down in Chesapeake. Still money today. Foxy. Ooh, Foxy up 77 cents. I was actually going to get long Foxy, and then I noticed a big call seller at the end of the day. They sold some Nove 34s in Foxy. Foxy I made money on before in the past. I think HNT might have earnings. I'll probably take that off before earnings. So HNT I need to close today. So much nicer to close a position before earnings so I don't have to sweat it on earnings. HNT, Tesoro. Tag up a little bit. I'm offering some CSUN at 150. CSUN paid 80 cents on those, I think. I'm offering some at $1.50. I have more money today in CSUN, and I'll offer the balance here at 175. CSUN higher.
Barracuda to open. Range was 18
so even with the 500, I'm down in Chesapeake. I'm still up money today.
To 23. So when that happens,
it's always a good thing.
It to you. In the meantime, 6 and 60.
You sold some at 75. Nice. Taking a triple.
Okay, listen, this
taking
is
a
an
triple.
obesity play. Merle says, done. Be careful. This is a big speculative play.
UBS ups the target for CBS.
AXAS, I'm offering some calls at 90. AXAS, I'm offering some calls here at 90. I'm long 20 of these still. May 2.5. AXAS on fire here. AXAS on fire. I'm offering some calls at 90. I'm in those for 40 cents. You guys all have AXAS. AXAS. It's like a tongue twister on. AXAS.
I got Pioneer on today. Let's take the other side of the trade. This is the company that has one of the biggest finds in the world. I also have Magnum Hunter on tonight. Controversial small cap oil.
Very nice. And then a restructuring over at Encana.
People don't seem to care, but this is a made look.
You saw that on AXAS, yeah.
But they are going to do a royalty trust. It's nice to see them trying to make a comeback.
Autodesk above 42. This is the key level for Autodesk. Autodesk above 42. This is the key level here for Autodesk.
On his company's Wall Street
up about another 400 today in Autodesk. Solani, I tweeted out last night. I have a spread on Autodesk. I'm along the DEES 44 calls. I'm along the DEES 45 calls. Futures getting a bid here. Globex high is 67.5, so keep an eye on 67.5. Globex high. You know, we have the high of the year in at 1773.25, and I just got filled on something, so let's just see what I got filled on. I always have offers out, guys. I'm always willing to take off some position at some point. Why is it not showing my trades? It's so weird. I don't know. It's kind of like, oh, it won't show me my trades. Weird. Futures up 11. We might have a date with 1773 here. Autodesk. I'm offering D's 45s at 120. D's 45s at 120. D's 45. I'm offering a quarter my position here. D's 45 at 120. I have some D's 44s I'm offering at 175. Market and Fuego. CONN calls being sold. As I continue to reiterate, I play with, momentum, okay? And the momentum is to the upside. Oh, look at the market go. SUNE, Nova 11s, SUNE, Nova 11s. FE on fire here, FE. So long, FE, Jan 39s. I'm now up money on those. I'm gonna offer some of these at $1. FE, I'm offering some of these at $1. FE, Jan 39s. The higher we go, the more my P&L goes. I know that. BGCP, I was going to offer some of those out. BGCP at 85. Up 300 in AXAS.
All right, we finally got an opening trade on Barracuda, 22.51.
Barracuda.
I think is the open after pricing around
Cuda.
18 to 21. Pricing at 18, the range was 18
Barracuda.
to 20. And we've been going over some of the business model here. Some pretty high-profile customers, Jim.
Wow, AOL, Jaguar, you
could buy the stock on the close of the 15 and have a stop under the low of the day. If you really wanted a day trade here. Buy it here, stop under the low of the day, stop under the low of the day. Barracuda.
I think that's terrific when they do that.
Yeah.
FedEx.
15 minute, you can use the 15 or the 5, depends what you want to
space
use.
is a little crowded.
You can use the
Seems like just
15
the other
or
day,
the 5.
FireEye was in the spotlight.
Everybody's in it. But let's hear. Let's find out.
DNR getting a
We're going to
bid.
talk to the CEO in just a moment.
CSUN getting a bid.
There is still money being made, even though we have this huge number of deals.
Come on, Autodesk.
There'd be fatigue, and one of them would open
Massively
down,
underperforming the
and
market
suddenly
here,
people would say,
Autodesk.
Whoa, but
eBay up a buck.
The tech companies have all worked.
Yeah.
The tech companies have all worked.
Although Avianca is not going to be used as a poster child for
OGE
high-flying
Energy.
IPOs today.
All the energy names coming back here a little bit.
Well, that one
Sarah, I
didn't
will
have
take
it.
off by the end of the day. I
Alliance
only have
member.
10 of them
Oh,
left.
boy.
I started with
but I mean, the
40
pure
of them.
techs have been
Started with
rather
40 of those.
incredible because they price
Cero.
them right.
PJ Jenkins is joining us this morning.
No
the
bubble
president
fuck.
and CEO of Barracuda Networks. He's here.
Offer
Post
some
9. PJ, welcome.
Owens.
Congratulations.
Hey guys, thank you very much. Great to be here.
A nice open, and we were just talking about sort of the model and the kinds of clients you cater to. Walk us through the basics.
Yeah, we focus on a segment of the market that we
Where's
think
the
is
coach?
not understood well, and that's this mid-market customer. 100
Coach, a
employees
whopping
to
8
5,000
cents with the
employees.
futures of
They have
12.
enough people that they've got infrastructure.
High of the year,
but,
1773
most of the
quarter.
companies are
High of the
building
year,
to large enterprises, and they have a lot of
1773
complexity,
quarter.
and we
Keep an eye on the
design in
high of the year,
simplicity for these
1773
customers. We
quarter.
solve these problems for them
Some
in
guy
a
on
very
TV once
elegant and
graduated from
simple way.
Illinois with an
But
engineering degree. I feel like I
the
swear I
clients
feel
you
like I
have
know him.
are anything but small. NASCAR, the Homeland Security, FedEx. I see you do Boston Celtics too, but those are huge companies. So you managed to snag them too?
You know, large companies at times overbuy and get over complex, and they realize they need simplicity too. And this is why you see the rise of things like cloud that simplifies some of the infrastructure that they have out there, and we leverage that.
Now, I had Palo Alto Networks
Futures
recently on
on
Mad Money,
fire.
and they say this business has become very cutthroat. What do
I
you
need Autodesk to
distinguish
rally
when you
about
go in
30
and make
cents
your pitch?
here.
What's different from the other
Again,
guy?
if you think of Palo Alto and FireEye, they're chasing after the largest enterprises.
CSUN
They
almost
have to
putting a
deal with
10
every
handle on it.
Legacy application.
Weatherford, I don't have a
They to
position
every
on. I
bell
think
and whistle
James
on their
does.
product.
52
Again,
week high in
we take that.
Weatherford.
Our
Couple
customers
hundred lot
only
calls
have a
being
few
bought,
IT
but nothing
people,
special in
and they have to
Weatherford.
deal with every part of the stack,
QSI,
and they make it
underperforming the
simple.
market
Think
as
of
well.
Your,
Only
your
about
TV remote you got at home.
15
it's got
cents. I
40
only have 7
buttons.
calls
I
left in
use
that one.
Channel up, channel down.
Double D,
volume,
I'm long long calls in
when
that
someone
one.
in my family's yelling at me. We make it an Apple remote for them. We make it easy for those customers so they can deploy and get
Lack
the
of
protection
trading
they
today.
need because they're exposed to
All
security
I've done today is
How much of it is more of a consulting
Sold calls
arrangement in
for
the
10
sense
cents.
then? I mean, it's a constant consultation in a way in
ZMH, we
which you're
talked
also
about bullish
selling them
activity
product. Is that
longer
fair to
term
say?
in
Yeah,
ZMH.
David, I think a lot of our customers
Nothing to
have
do today in
these problems,
ZMH.
and
March
they
95
have
is
to
being
solve
bought a
them
little
right
bit.
away. One of the things we
ZMH.
do is we offer them a subscription service, so it's infrastructure as a service.
NBTB.
And when they call us today,
32
the
times
service is on
usual
tomorrow
volume.
for them.
Nothing
And
to do
it
there.
can often be deployed in less than 15
NBTB.
minutes. And if they don't like it, we give them a 30-day right of return. So think of this in the IT industry. No one's out there
KKR, I
saying,
should have
hey,
taken those
our
calls
product
off
sells
before earnings.
itself.
CCE,
Try
I
it
should have taken
first,
those calls off
and if you
before
don't
earnings.
like it, you can bring
I'm actually
bring it
surprised
back. Our
to see the
product
market
sells
not
itself
up
for
more than
30-day
it
money
is. I
back
mean, my
guarantee.
individual
30-day
stocks
right
not
of
up more than
return.
it is. Futures are on
That's
fire. They're up 12
nice.
points.
We think
Took out
Zappos
yesterday's
copied us in
high.
this area.
Looked
We
like going
did
to take
this
out
in
the high of the
technology
year.
first, and they brought
But
it to
still, you know,
retail.
some of
Margins
these
in the
positions aren't really
80% range.
making as
Is
much
that
as they should.
trajectory up or down?
Autodesk
as more
underperformed
customers
the market, only
leverage
up
our
18
cloud
cents.
infrastructure,
Barracuda,
the
now is at
subscription nature of
$1.60
the
bar
business
here.
grows,
TPX, we see
believe
some
can
market
expand margins
calls
over
trading
time.
mid-market.
Churn significant?
SUNE,
You always have
post
some
earnings,
churn in the
52-week high in
mid-market. You know, our
SUNE.
renewal
10,000
rates,
calls
though, on
being
a
bought
dollar
here in
basis are at
SUNE.
96% for the
They
first
sold some
half
Nova
of our
11,
fiscal
but let's look
year.
at these real quick.
And,
SUNE,
you know,
these
we go
might get
over the
a
top
nice
with
little pop
service.
here in
Again, if you think of
SUNE.
this mid-market,
GN12
you
calls. They've
call
traded
us,
SUNE
you get a live
before,
person at
both
Barracuda
profitably and
responsible for
unprofitably.
solving your
GN12 is
problem,
being
whether
bought
it's ours or
10,000
somebody
lot,
else's
not
in
to
the
take a
environment.
trade.
It's hard to
Open
walk away
interest
from
is
that when you got
27,000.
someone who you love
So
their
a trader
product
bought
and
some
you love the
SUNE.
service they give
I
you.
always
When I go to
continue to reiterate, if this trade
BostonCeltics.com,
works, it's
what
going
are
to
you
work
doing if I go to
without
that
me.
site? Where are you?
So could this trade work?
We
Absolutely.
provide web
If
application
it does work, it's going to work
firewalls that
without me.
prevent
Okay?
a website
So
from
bullish signal.
automated attacks from botnets. We
Trader
do things like
bought
backup and archive for their corporate
10,000.
data, and we provide a next generation
SUNE,
firewall.
GN
So use of
2014.
social media and new applications, they're protected.
Same NASCAR,
These
NHL?
are the 12
Yeah,
calls.
they all enter into our
$4.50.
Barracuda system in one form or another. Maybe storage, it may be
versus
security.
open interest of
and then what we try and
26,000
do
plus.
is once they try one product, we have 14 offerings, and
So
we
no
try
trade
and make
to
them
take.
Barracuda shops. So
What are you
they
gonna
have
do?
3 or
What are you
more
gonna do with
So
the
no
money
trade
you're
to
raising
take
today?
here. In
you know, the big part of us going public, we've been
Tesla
cash flow
158.
positive since the 3 months after our 3 co-founders founded the business.
CSUN.
We have a healthy balance sheet. For us, in security, there's a legitimacy. We're growing fast overseas. These companies that we
CSUN, I just sold calls at $1.50. CSUN, I just sold calls at $1.50. I was in these at 80 cents. These 10s, CSUN, I just sold these 10s at $1.50. I only have 2 of these left. CSUN, these 10s, I just sold at $1.50. I only have 2 of these left. So exit to close and fill. I
We'll
sold
keep our eyes on you guys.
3 of 10.
Congratulations again,
CSUN.
BJ Jenkins.
These
Really appreciate it.
10
ticker
calls
CUDA.
for
Caught us on a nice day
$1.50.
too.
Paid
Dow's
80
up more than
cents.
triple digits. One day to go before
Two
Twitter's big Wall
lot
Street debut.
left.
We're going to meet an
The
investor in the
offer
company who
is
helped create the
175.
retweet.
So
And
CSUN
also have
on
an
fire. The
exclusive
stock
with
will
the
open
CEO
up.
of
It was only up
DirecTV.
23
Do not
cents.
go away.
So a closing position here in CSUN. CSUN looking strong. Taking some profits, guys.
Hey, good job. Hey, good job.
That's my
hey,
favorite
good
one.
job. Hey, good job.
So an exiting position, 2 exits today, no entries yet, guys. Okay. 2 exits, no entries. And I can take VMW off the bottom here if it's on here. Good, I already took it off. Okay. Hey, good job.
Hey, good job.
You guys all in CSUN? Or ISU in CSUN? No, I got out yesterday for double. Come on. They tripled today. CVC. I thought the fill was pretty easy on those, but I could have been wrong. Hey, good job. Thinking about taking off all my Noble Energy calls, guys. They're 150 right now. Thinking about taking off all my Noble Energy calls. I have about $2,000 worth of these. GN80 Noble Energies. I'm going to leave them on. SIRI. Don't really see anything new to take here today. OCR. Let's look at that one. Omnicare. 2000 straddles, maybe combos trading OCR. Nothing to take here in OCR. Might take off some oil names today. You know, haven't really decided. AXAS, what do we see trade today? AXAS. Some D's 2.5s. I have some Mays offered out in AXAS. Had these on for a while. I know James is in these as well. I used to literally, when I was on the trading floor, if I had a big day where I made a bunch of money, I was like, what position do I not like that I can take off? What position do I not like that I can take off? Okay. Looking at it, I know, you know, psychology is, you know, looking at a position and just be like, oh no. Oh, I was just about to take off the TSO calls for 98. Hey, good job.
Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. September LEI, leading economic indicators.
Leading economic indicators. Leading
a little
economic
better than
indicators.
expectations by a whisker. Market really moving for factors outside of that. And very quickly, if you can look at charts on the euro versus dollar, the pound versus dollar.
DNR getting a bid. DNR, if you want to get out of Novs, they are 30
really
bid.
Much better against the dollar
take
in the
those
last
off for a
half hour.
scratch.
Maybe at least with regard
DNR,
to the euro, the
if you want to take them off,
anxiety
you can take
about
those
rate
off for a
cuts
scratch.
over the next
mine
several
on.
meetings. Of course, there's a meeting tomorrow. Maybe priced in or at least reached a fully priced equilibrium. We'll have to pay attention to that throughout the rest of the day. Simon, back to you.
Okay, Rick, thank you very much. Rick Santelli in Chicago. So
Autodesk unchanged now.
Territory this morning. The Dow hit all-time high. Let's get some analysis on where we are with the markets.
REGN
John Canale
down.
is an investment strategist and
Schlumberger
economist
up a
with
buck
LPL
30
Financial. Good morning.
Still on some Schlumberger
What would a
calls.
successful IPO
He's like, don't
Twitter,
move. Stock can go
Twitter
up
IPO
a dollar.
in 24 hours
Stock
do
doesn't
for
move.
this market?
Can
Do
go
you think,
down a
John?
dollar. Stock
Well,
doesn't.
I
These
think the
calls
market
don't move.
it does a lot
Schlumberger
better when
calls.
it's focused on fundamentals. And you
See
know,
some
during
big calls
earnings
being
season
sold here,
since,
big getting
late
pounded.
2009.
I'm
All
down
the gain in the stock market has
140
come
bucks
during the earnings
in
season.
bid,
So markets
BID.
love fundamentals. They like share buybacks. We've seen a lot of those. A lot of investors are benefiting from those. So I think all that.
When is Barry ever earnings? I was thinking about taking out Barry.
When it's focused on the
Barry
fundamentals, it
Plastics.
does well. When it's distracted by the noise
Cuda.
out there, it doesn't.
You know, Lloyd Blankfein at Goldman
CUDA,
Sachs put it
Cuda.
this way
Barracuda,
yesterday. He said it's not
Barracuda,
cool at the
Barracuda,
moment to be optimistic,
Barracuda.
but we've chewed through the issues that battered the economy to the point that you're making. The big question, I guess, John, is whether with an S&P that is now up 24%, yes, 24.3% for the year, is the retail investor right to come into the market and to still buy at this level, John?
Sure. I mean, you don't ever want to get into the market all at once. You want to kind of dollar cost average in. But if you look at things like valuations, you're only, you know, maybe 14.5 or 15 times.
Nothing new
It's
to
still
trade
fairly
yet.
value. You're still in the middle
Doesn't
of
mean
the
I won't
economic
find a
cycle.
good, a
You're
new
still in
good
the
trade
middle
in a
of
minute.
the earnings cycle. So even though the market is up a lot this year and it's up a lot since 2009, it's probably not too late.
Jerry, John, as much as it might feel awkward to buy at these levels, history will tell you that when the past couple of months have been positive, that the rest of the quarter is good too, right?
That's correct. And
PTRY
you know, we've had,
up again.
I think, 30,
E10 up
31,
again.
32 new all-time highs this year.
Zynga.
And so if you didn't, you know, if you were
Don't take anything
waiting for a
Zynga.
pullback, I mean, that's a good buy the dips opportunity waiting on the pullback. But we haven't had a 10% pullback in quite a long time, so I think you might wait even longer for that one. So I think, you know, if you haven't been in yet, it's not too late. But again, don't do it all at once. Do a chunk here, chunk there, and you know, look out for those earnings reporting seasons. That tends to be when
Apple
all the
down.
gains in the markets are.
John, let me ask you one final
DNR,
question. There's a lot
unusual
of
option activity,
attention on this
DNR,
major research paper that William
nothing too
English at the
interesting.
Fed is going to present at the
Couple
IMF
hundred
meetings
lot.
at the end of this week.
Bring
If
up
the
Apple
Fed
real
says
quick.
to us, look,
You know,
we're
Apple's
gonna
in
keep
neutral
short-term
territory,
interest
isn't it?
rates
Bullish neutral
at
territory.
zero, not
You
until
know, you got to take
unemployment
into
is at
consideration that trading
6.5%,
Apple,
but
day trading
6%.
Apple,
In other words,
is very
lower rates for
challenging.
longer.
You
But in
need
return,
a
we
day
may
where it's going
taper
to make
in,
a
say,
big move,
December.
right? So
What
I like
does
to
that
trade
mean
on the
for the
5-minute
market?
bar
You know,
using
I
the
think the
Ichimoku
Fed
cloud.
is
There's
getting
nothing
kind
to
of
set up
sick
here.
of tapering.
It's only a short right
quantitative
now
easing.
on the 15.
I think the market's getting sick of
If I
hearing
move to something
about
faster on the
tapering.
5,
Maybe it's time.
only a
maybe
short
it is
setup.
time
So
to
I
kind
wouldn't
of
look
rip
to
off
get
the
long Apple
Band-Aid
anything on 5-minute
quantitative easing
or 15.
And I think
So
while
Apple is not a long
initially
setup
that
at all.
might cause some
Facebook looks
market
weak.
disruption. I think
Facebook
longer
on the
term, if the
15 is
Fed
probably a
can
setup there
kind of
too.
move away from
Think
quantitative
about it. Why is the
easing
market
and
down?
move
Oh,
forward
Facebook got a pretty good signal here
forward guidance,
at
I think that would be a
50.07.
good thing.
It's short at 50.07, stopped
John,
at
thank you for the advice.
50.61.
John Canali joining us there
And
from
been in it all
LPL
day.
Financial. Thank you.
Facebook, nice little setup
Shares
here
of
on
Tesla,
the
big story today,
5-minute
falling
bars.
sharply
If I
despite
move it to
beating
the
the street by a
15,
penny, reporting earnings above estimates.
15
Company's
is in the
delivery
cloud.
numbers, though,
Okay.
were lower
I haven't
than
actually
what
had
some
time to
analysts were
trade
expecting. Our Phil
Facebook
LeBeau
and Apple
joins us on
and
the news
Tesla
line to
on
talk
the
about that
15-minute
chart
bar
there, Phil,
using the
and
Ichimoku
what they
cloud,
said
but I
about the
really
coming
do
quarter.
like to trade it. Okay.
You know, Carl,
Just
this is a quarter,
just like
and
where do
you
you want
look
to
at the
focus your
third quarter,
energy? And I didn't
where
want to
they
focus my
reported
energy right now on
better
the
than their
usual
own
option
guidance,
activity.
but not
You know,
as
I've
good as
been making
many
money
were
trading it,
expecting.
so I
And the
want
three
to
numbers
focus my
focus
energy on that.
You
I'm
mentioned
not looking
deliveries.
at so much on the
For the third
5-minute
quarter,
bar
they
in
delivered
Apple.
5,500 Model S. Some were
Tesla,
talking about 5,700 or 5,800.
At the
So
money
there was some
straddle
disappointment.
yesterday was
The gross
20 bucks.
margin,
How much
however,
did it move?
at 21%,
20 bucks.
is a
It's
little
interesting
higher
how
than
that
most
always
on Wall
works,
Street
right?
were expecting. And for the year,
It's
their
interesting how that
guidance
always
is
works.
increased.
How does
They
it
are
move
now
exactly
planning
what
to
the
deliver
measurement target is?
21,500
QTWW, I've made money in that
In the
before. If I see
fourth
bullish
quarter,
activity in that one, I
Tesla
will
plans
take a
to
trade.
deliver 6,000
April 4 is
Model
being
S. The
sold in
interesting thing here
QTWW.
is
No
that
trade to take here.
deliveries are being increased
You know,
in
I like to
Europe,
trade
and
the
to a
stocks that
certain
I've made
extent,
money
they're
before.
pulling back a bit in terms of delivering here
If
in the
I
U.S.
know there's a
What
stock
about
that I've
China?
made money
That is
before, I want to
many
take a
many
trade.
view as a great growth market. That market, in
AFFY,
terms of deliveries,
big
will
bullish
start in the
activity
first
here.
quarter of next year, and
Stocks,
already Elon
I don't
Musk
even know what's
is
going on in
saying
this
that they're
stock.
seeing
GERN, we've
great
seen activity in
interest
that
terms
one.
of the Model S there. Here's what Musk had to say on the conference call last night about the problem for Tesla right now being more
NTLS.
on the supply side than on the demand side.
Really are production constrained, not demand constrained. So we're working hard to address the...
I could have left those TLMs on. I took those off. Stock's up 17 cents. Oh, to 0 no down on the day.
You know, improve the effectively the deliveries.
I just cost myself 50 bucks into
people
zero.
still don't quite get is that we're different in that fundamental way from other car companies.
Abercrombie and Fitch.
And it doesn't make sense for
Abercrombie
us
and
to
Fitch, the
do
32
things to
puts
amplify
trader.
demand if we can't meet that demand with production.
Abercrombie, 10,000 of the 32
so what's the
puts
supply
trading.
constraint that Elon Musk
Weird.
is talking about? He's talking about
Those
the
are 10% out
lithium-ion
of the
battery
money.
cells, and we've
Abercrombie
been
and
talking about this
Fitch,
for some time. They
puts
cannot
being
get
bought
enough
here.
to meet the demand for building the battery packs that go into the Model S
Abercrombie
and will
and
go into the
Fitch.
Model X. On the conference call last night, he did say
You know,
that
unless
they
I
are
see something
looking
that's really
at the
interesting, I'm
possibility
more of a seller of
building a
long positions today
lithium-ion
than I'm a
battery
buyer
cell
of initiating
gigafactory,
positions.
a huge factory that will give them an
Abercrombie,
enormous supply
32
of
puts and
lithium-ion
on the
battery cells.
11.8
He didn't want to get
trading
into too many
8
details
cents.
about it. He did say that they are looking at
I
a
don't know
number
why
of
anybody
locations
would buy
in North
those.
America.
Open interest
That
is
is one
6,000,
reason
so it
why
might be
there
against
is some
open
people,
interest here.
there are some people on Wall Street
Might be against
who are
open
pretty
interest.
optimistic about where
I'm more of a
Tesla's
seller
heading.
on today's
That
market
said,
than a
Carl,
buyer.
You
You
look
know,
at
if
the
there's a
stock,
trade that comes in, doesn't mean I won't trade it, but I'm more of
we
a
got ahead of
seller today
ourselves
than a
in
buyer.
terms of expecting big numbers from Tesla, and that's why the stock is down today.
Indeed. After coming a long way this year, Phil, thanks so much. Our Phil LeBeau joining us on the Newsline talking Tesla today. Here are two things worth retweeting this morning. First, Twitter
really
is
have any
expected to
thoughts on
price
it.
shares of its
Bought a
big
bunch of
public
calls
debut
yesterday. I
tonight
could have taken
after the bell.
some
Second,
off for a profit
joining us
today,
here at Post 9 is
and
the
I wasn't
man
quick
who
enough.
helped create the retweet.
I didn't see it going
Narendra
across the tape.
Rocherol is an
So I
alum
could have
of
taken off
Twitter and joins
DLPH
us
for
here at
profit,
Post 9
but
to
I
talk
didn't.
about obviously the big day
I wouldn't
tomorrow.
initiate a
Narendra,
new
good morning.
position,
Welcome.
but I'm sticking in my long.
You actually have some shares.
Okay.
You have to be watching this
30 cents.
relatively closely.
I do.
I wouldn't
I'm
initiate
I think
a new
of myself
position,
more as
but
bearing
I'm not
witness
taking
to
off
it
the
because
one I have
as a
on.
community member,
Coach, get
it's
in a
less
bid,
about
guys.
the
Coach, get in a
sort of,
bid. I'm offering some
payout
calls
and
here.
more
Coach
about
at
where Twitter's
60.
going next.
Yeah.
Paid,
What is the
I paid
general
40 or
feeling among
45
the
for those. I
alum?
think I paid 45.
Well,
offering
I'm
some
not
coach,
an alum,
that
I'm sort of
coach.
community member. I
No
was working in
32,
the office,
52 and a
during
half.
that first year, but you know, the whole thing is very improbable.
That coach.
And so that first year in Twitter is really
Offering
about
some
the
at
triumph
60,
of
I had
community.
15
It's
of
about
these.
engaging first the bloggers and then reluctantly the mainstream media, and now you know, it's hitting a milestone that's really significant.
You sound like you almost can't believe this is happening.
Well, I
Where's
can, but
GTAT?
you know, I
Just
think that's why
curiously, I saw
I'm
those
ultimately
calls
bullish
yesterday.
on
Up 8 cents.
the company, because they've
YPF,
come
I talked
so
about
far,
not wanting
and
to
so
trade that
this is
one.
sort of like
Open
the
table, I
stepping
would have
stone
got
to the
long that
next
one.
really big thing.
I would have got long
I think
open
you've got
table, but I would have probably
20,000
got long
shares. I'm
Mercado
sorry to
Libre.
be so-
Open
no,
table,
you know,
8 bucks.
It's through a variety of vehicles. It's
You didn't buy
if they
any
price at the top of the range, they're
CSUN, did you?
worth- I'm sorry to be so mercenary. about this,
CSUN?
they're worth
Oh my
about
God.
$500,000 if they price at 25
Look at that
bucks a share.
15-minute chart.
So what a lot of people would like to know
That
from
could be
your
the end for
perspective on the finance
CSUN.
program is,
Oh,
are you
stock
able
just
to
sold off
sell?
10%.
Can you sell?
No.
So you're locked in.
Yeah.
When might you think
Look at
about
that
selling?
tail. CSUN now
To be
go
quite
neggy.
honest, I've been long
Wow,
Twitter since
CSUN.
2006.
So I sold some
will
CSUNs at
remain long
$1.50.
Twitter.
They're now
So what's
$1.10.
the future going to be
Wow.
like then, in your opinion, for this company?
What's the future?
Yeah.
Good
what,
sailing,
what do
kid.
you envision, given how much
Hey,
it's already
how to
changed from
do
those
it.
early days, so
He
to
sold
speak,
them for
7 years
150. They
ago?
trading 110.
What's it gonna look like in
I don't
7
believe
years?
On the way
they
I was
sold them
reading,
there.
Nick Bilton has this phenomenal
Yeah,
book out called
Hatching
Hatching
Twitter, yeah.
Twitter, and was reminding
Here's
me of
CSUN.
that,
I
how
sold
much
3 at
things have changed and how
$1.50.
much-
They're
how
now
much was sort of
$1.10.
etched in stone
I wouldn't
early
look to
on. I
add
think
it all to these.
Twitter is becoming the news, right? It's co-opted everything, and it's going to be that channel. There's no, when you talk about an information network, it doesn't really have any competitors now. You know, it's an interest graph. It has a lot of menial stuff, but it also has the most significant stuff we have going on the planet. And you know, a long time ago, Biz Stone, one of the co-founders, talked about Twitter being a triumph of humanity. And
What a
so for me, it's an
reversal.
important company, not just because I think it has financial viability, but
Just 2
because
trades so far today.
it really is changing the way we interact. It's changing almost every facet of our communication network.
Talk about the
Pretty close
the
to
advent
selling
of
some
the
coach
retweet,
calls.
because people want to sort of
Pretty close to
prioritize
selling some
all of their
coach calls.
innovations over time,
Close
right?
to selling some
The promoted
DLPH
trend,
calls.
the promoted tweet.
I
the
know, I was thinking about
hashtag.
selling all my Noble
Yeah,
calls.
well, you know, it's an accidental contribution. I'm a
PBR.
product guy, I'm not a finance guy.
18 and a half
and
for
we had this new tool in
11/29/2013.
2006,
I have no desire to trade anything here.
You want to shake it. You want to see what it can do. And I was sort of fascinated because it was entirely SMS-based. I wanted to know what would happen
FE up
if,
80 cents today.
if these follower networks
Offering
suddenly
some
started
calls at a buck
echoing
here.
what was being said. I thought, wow.
I will take
where
off
could this go?
HNT
And,
before earnings.
Seeing that now.
HNT and Tesoro
a-
will take it off before earnings. I will leave
No, I mean, it's
WIN
now one
on.
of their, it's
I should
it's
take
how
it
things
off.
go viral.
It's a viral component,
4
right?
cents at
and we
5
had that
cents.
in email. We never had a kind of public format for that, and that's one of Twitter's real differentiating
CONN,
characteristics, is that it's
calls
public.
being sold.
Was it hard to
I
code?
see
Was it hard to
LTD
program?
puts
Oh,
being
no,
bought
I mean,
and
this was- I was a
LTD
user. I
opening
made a
position
request. I
here.
said, hey, please echo
LTD.
this message, and then people did it, and then I said, wow, that's
See some puts,
Can
no
you meld
60
that with
puts.
monetizing further down the line? If they came to
30
you and said, look, as a
cents.
product guy, we need to monetize it, can you help us?
Well, I think they did a great job turning it into a discovery tool, because that's how you are introduced to new people. They're figuring everything out at their own pace, and they're doing a great
No
job.
desire to
Where
take
are you
this.
going to be tomorrow
LTD
morning?
puts possibly being bought against a
9:30.
long
You know,
stock position. LTD puts
I
possibly
have
being
no
bought
idea. I
against
just
a
flew in
long
last
stock
night.
position.
Watching CNBC.
I'm going to be
Stuff.
watching
SD under
Obviously,
6
that was
again.
a given.
SUNE, I talked about not buying those calls. Those
obviously
are
a
down in
fascinating,
value already.
corporate tale, and we
All those are
appreciate you
getting
coming in to
smushed.
share some insight. Thank you, Rinder Rocherol.
Smushy, smushy.
Help create the retweet as we await Twitter's IPO tomorrow.
Up next on the program, the chairman and CEO of DirecTV will join us live right here at Post 9 for an exclusive David Faber interview. We'll get his reaction to the company's quarterly results, plus what he thinks of the state of the
Vivis
media
getting
industry
smoked.
right now. Squawk on the Street
March
will be right
9's
back.
being sold here in Vivis. VVUS, no desire. EEM, we saw some bullish activity in the EEM yesterday. You know, the SPOOs are up 12.5. You know, I really don't see too much that's moving that much. OGE, LAMR, we see some calls being bought. I've traded LAMR before profitably and unprofitably. No desire to take anything on LAMR. Lamar Advertising, I know this is a personal fan favorite of Mr. Jim Cramer. Double D now getting a bid here. Double D, these calls are back up to 32 cents. PBI, Nove 22s. Woo! Hello, PBI. Looking at PBI, guys. PBI, Nove 22s. PBI, Nove 22s. I might buy these. PBI, Nove 22s. They're at 40. I'm going to buy some for 40. I'm at a 15 lot, guys, at 40 cents. PBI, Nove 22s. I just bought 15 of them for 40 cents. PBI, Nove 22s. I just bought 15 of them. They're still offered. Offered. I just bought them. 15 of them. PBI, Nove 22s. I'm in them at 40 cents. What is this? I have to put the symbol in every time that I want to see something. PBI, I see a trader buy about 2,900 of these. I bought 15 of these. PBI, Nove 22s. PBI, Nove 22s. They've been right on PBI, Pitney Bowes. I was in the 21s. I punted them before earnings are worth a buck. The 22s now, they're coming after them. PBI, watch for a spike here in PBI. I'm in these NOV 21s. This is a new position. What do we got? Want to play the guitar? Entry to open and filled. I bought 15. PBI, NOV, 22 calls, 40 cents. Confidence on this is a 4, $600 of risk. I'm going to have targets at 55, 65, 75, and 85. Okay. So PBI. Got to take consideration if I'm buying NOV calls, I have huge time decay. Huge time decay. Okay. Huge time decay. Okay. So I want to sell these a little bit quicker than if I bought something out all the way till January. Okay. A little bit quicker than if I bought them till January. So PBI, my first target is going to be 55 cents.
Tentative agreement with its largest union.
I'm just going to offer these out there. PBI, I'm offer some at 55 cents here.
Being built in Washington State. Boeing
PBI.
will get at least a break from the state and 8 additional years of labor peace as a result of the deal. The stock is up more than 75% year to date, David. So Boeing shares soaring higher. Back over to you.
Profit rose in the third quarter as it gained more U.S. subscribers than expected, helped in part perhaps by the Time Warner Cable
This is a
CBS
new position here in PBI. Is my first new position.
Company
you know, they bought 3,000. These not the biggest order in the world, but on a reward to risk basis, I think this is interesting to get a little trade out there in PBI. So there's a new position here in PBI.
Unexpected Latin America. For your company, it's not.
PBI.
The numbers yesterday,
first new
strong
trade today.
in the U.S., but there was some concern about Latin America. I think you added 260,000 subscribers.
And my profit targets are as quickly as 55. This is the front month position.
Yeah. Why is it so slow or slowing?
Yeah, you've seen the macroeconomic conditions in several of the countries down there shift a little bit, in particular Brazil. Consumers in general have pulled back a little bit. I think they got ahead of their skis on debt in the economy. And so as we've seen in this country, different kind of debt down there. They don't have mortgages. It's more automobiles and appliances. But consumers have pulled back a little bit. And that's put some pressure on the business. And then in Venezuela,
are you guys in PBI? PBI.
Is that the new normal down there, or do you have an expectation?
I've been around Latin America for 30 years, and it goes through ups and downs. I think you've still got an enormous long-term growth opportunity
it is November.
across Latin America. You still only have less than 3 out of 10 households have pay TV. And we have the preeminent service, the best brand down there. So I'm still optimistic about the long term. But certainly, David, you look at inflation and some of the macro conditions, one has to be, I would say, balanced in terms of how we're approaching the business right now. So
the futures are selling off. That's a bad sign. I'd rather see the futures
but frankly,
not
in
sell
local
off.
currency, for instance, our Brazil business still had
15%
15%
all-time high,
profit
22
growth in local currency. So
11. So it needs to
the
take that
Brazilian
level out.
real, it weakened a bit in the quarter, so that cost us 13 points.
You're going to take the currency.
You got to look at those things through the long term.
Although
Pepsi up 80 cents today.
Pepsi
up 80 cents.
It was a different story. In fact, you added more subscribers. Some people saying, it must have been the CBS Time Warner dispute. On the conference call yesterday, you said less than 5%.
So P&L is positive today.
Well less than 5%, actually. Well less than 5%.
Well less than. So, and you said you make a
Facebook
point of
round
not
back,
going
Apple
after
still
these guys
down.
during
I'd
these
only look to
disputes.
short Apple on day trade.
What goes around comes around. Look, I think unfortunately there have been more than normal share of disputes over retransmission
Schlumberger up a
It's
buck.
an unfortunate part of the
Tesoro,
landscape.
I will take off by the end of the day.
We don't think it does any good for distributors.
Sora
to
and
go after
HNT,
each
I'll
other.
take off by the end of the day.
Programming costs
Guess I
are
should have sold
47.1%
Noble Energy.
To 47.1% of your revenues. Yours were up 7.4%, I believe.
Right.
That seems somewhat unsustainable. How do you maintain a margin? You seem to do it. You had average revenue go up almost as much. But that's not a great model, is it?
It's a challenging model for all distributors, I think. I mean, content costs, we recognize there are some one-time things going on between retransmission and sports. And if those settle back down to where content costs were the year before I became CEO, in the, say, 4 to 5% range, then I think we're fine.
Is that going to happen?
I hope eventually.
Can you guys all get together and start really fighting the fight?
I think we're all kind of trying to challenge as best we can right now. But look, we're prepared and are planning for elevated content costs for the next couple of years. I mean, I can look at our contracts and what's coming up over the next 2 years in particular, and what we're having to do is get smarter about productivity across the enterprise, go after incremental revenues with ad sales, pay-per-view, and commercial, which all grew double-digit in the quarter, take some of the pressure off there, and work really hard on all the levers with the business, and most importantly, keep loyal customers.
Selling off here in
one
PVI.
thing that's kept your customers is that NFL Sunday ticket started in '94, but we come back to programming costs. Sports certainly a key part of that. You know, you've said it's not just about
$600 a risk here in
economics.
PVI.
It's more complicated than that in terms of renewing. Right. It comes up next year.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, I think digital rights, mobile rights in particular, everyone in every deal that we, kind of we're involved in, there's a question about how far are you going to go on mobile rights, and everyone has a slightly different strategy. So, in this case, we're in good constructive discussions with the NFL, and I'm optimistic. Next year's our 20th year with NFL Sunday Ticket. We made a big investment this year.
NQ calls being bought in NQ.
Our NFL Sunday Ticket experience.
I haven't taken anything in NQ.
With live clips. Put your favorite players in, linking it to the NFL's
NQ calls being bought. These are March calls.
So we're
March 20 calls and
when I hear
NQ
the
being
rumors,
bought.
you know what? They're not going to renew.
NQ
or
March
Google's
20
come
calls
in
being
and
bought.
what should we be thinking when we
I
hear
can look
those
at the
things
open
from
interest
time to
here.
time?
We get rumors all the time in our
has
business.
been in the news for a while.
I got to tell you, I wouldn't pay much attention to those rumors.
March
I think
20
what
NQs.
we're engaged in with the NFLs, we've got a great
I don't know if I've
partnership.
ever had a position
Next
on
year's
an
our
NQ.
20th year,
right?
And I think they've been
Most
good for
likely
us,
I won't trade these
and I think we're
NQ
good
March
for them from a
20s.
branding standpoint. We had a terrific ad campaign.
Open interest
with the
is
Mannings this
13,000
summer
in NQ.
To get football on
So
your
open
phone,
interest here is
and I'm really
13,000
excited
in
that we can
NQ.
continue to build that franchise.
13,000
But
open
as
interest,
if you
so I'm not
look at
taking
our
a trade
TV
there.
Everywhere platform,
PBI was volume versus
probably
open
the best
interest and
example
match.
of what you
Looked
can
good.
do is our NFL Sunday Ticket
Doesn't mean the stock
platform
can't
when you
sell
get
off.
the mobile rights.
They could have been
Right.
selling
Now,
stock
something else that
against
some
their
of your
calls.
shareholders will say would be good
You
for
know what they say
DirecTV
in the game?
would be
Only
a deal,
time will
would be
tell.
a merger. And the name we hear all the time, of course, is
Right.
Dish. Comes along with Charlie Ergen.
Right.
You and I have talked about this through the years, but I'm curious, when you think about it right now, and those who say, you know what, they don't want to take risk at DirecTV, they're happy to generate cash, buy back stock, they won't do it.
Right.
Would you consider it? Could it get by regulatory?
Well, I think it's probably in the reverse order. I mean, I think you got to answer, can you get it approved by the government? Remember, it wasn't approved 10 years ago by a Republican administration.
World's changed.
Pinnacle puts being bought, possibly against a long stock position. When I see puts being bought against that the stock is up a lot, I think it's against a long stock position.
The world has changed quite a
so
bit,
Pink,
and that
not taking a trade
consolidation
here.
industry could be pro-consumer.
PNK.
But nevertheless, you have to make the case. And, probably one of the critical questions would be, apart from
PNK, very bullish activity.
I've always said that.
I mean, bearish activity, sorry.
It's large. Can you credibly build out a competitive broadband service that would change the game? And it's not yet clear to me you can. Clearly, Charlie is pursuing some ideas that are interesting. He's got some spectrum. We got more than that in Brazil, and you need more.
PBI is down about 10
cents.
cents
Do
when
something
those calls were
competitive.
bought.
But you never know. But I would just say right now, certainly from our perspective, we're focused on building our business.
Only new trade I've taken today.
The strategic synergies of a combination have always been there. I think we'll have to see. And remember, we're a public company. They're a controlled company. So I suppose the relevant question is to my counterpart.
Real final question again on something else in the industry, Aereo. It came up in your conference call yesterday. You gave it a bit of attention. You didn't really. Is it a possibility that you'd stick aerials along with, or avoid these incredible increases in retrans costs?
I don't think specifically that idea makes a lot of sense.
And it moved a lot.
$12 and retransmission fees aren't $12.
Moved the wrong way, though, unfortunately.
That specifically doesn't make sense. What I was trying to say is that, look, we used to have antennas and a built-in capability in our
HMA
to
Feb quarter puts being bought. Pretty big order here in HMA. Feb quarter Feb 12 puts being bought. HMA. That just popped here a little bit.
There is a point at which that makes sense for consumers, and it really comes back to consumers
12
and their
puts
bills.
being bought here.
So I frankly think
really
it'll be
wanna
driven by
take these.
consumers. If
a big chunk of customers get the
bearish
broadcast
signal
for free, then that's going to be a problem for those of us
trader
customers that
bought
say, why can't I get it for free?
72.50 HMA.
Well, I don't think specifically we'd be pursuing an idea with Aereo literally. And frankly, we still got to see whether it's legal.
I'm not going to take a trade here. HMA puts being bought. This is a bearish signal, but I'm not taking a trade here in HMA.
Appreciate it, David. Thanks for the time.
12 puts
Mike
being
White,
bought
Chairman,
in
CEO, DirecTV.
HMA.
Carl, over to you.
BidJan
so much,
60 is
David.
being bought. BidJan
Obamacare
60
taking
is
center
being
stage
bought.
on the Hill once again. Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius is testifying before the Senate Finance Committee this time. We'll tell you what's been discussed so far. Dow up 101 points, a record high today.
Dow up 101. Vivis, I don't have a position on anymore. I took all my position off yesterday in Vivis. So I've been going to start taking positions off before earnings. And it's proven to be successful. You know, Apache I took off, Vivis I took off, Sandus I took off. I wish I'd taken more of them off, right? So I'm always tweaking the unusual option activity trading plan. And I want to start taking off positions before earnings. As we all know, implied volatility just gets smushed. Smoosh. Excuse me. EWW. See some calls being sold here in the EWW. You know, I don't play certain names. Valley is one of them. PBI calls 35.40. AXAS, I didn't sell anything. Bid getting worked. CONN, OCR, what was that OCR trade? Omnicare, Devon Energy, DVN. I sold a bunch of Devon Energy calls yesterday. Stock down. So Devon Energy, I sold a bunch of calls yesterday. I sold GN 67.5 calls in Devon Energy. GN 67.5 calls in Devon I sold yesterday pre-earnings, okay? Just trying to tweak the trading plan. I'm always trying to improve my trading. Every day I think I should make money. Fortunately, it doesn't work like that. GN 67s in Devon are 83 cents. I think I sold these for $1.50 yesterday. Devon Energy, GN 67.5s, I sold for $1.25. They're 82 cents today. So I'm always trying to tweak the trading plan, okay, guys? I'm always trying to tweak the trading plan. You got to be involved with the new wave of trading or get left behind, okay? BBEP, that had earnings. Traded that last month for earnings. Didn't do anything. Either get on board with the times or be left behind. HSP, I talked about Hespera reversing now down on the day. PNK, we saw some bearish activity. Pinnacle Entertainment. Stock is up 15 cents since they bought puts. They buy puts. How is the stock up 15 cents? You say to yourself, how does it make sense? ALU. Remember the puts they sold in January? That was a good trade. AFFY, Sam Adams Beer Company. That's some good beer. That is some good beer. CLDT. Just nothing. Okay. CHRW. Puts being sold for a nickel. No desire to take a trade here.
The Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius is back on Capitol Hill, testifying this time before the Senate Finance Committee about Obamacare. Bertha Coombs is live in D.C. with the latest on this particular hearing. Bertha, good morning.
Good morning, Simon. Kathleen Sebelius right now giving
I'll
her
manage
opening
it on
statement.
Friday.
Very much what
Cores
she
I'll
said
manage on
last
Friday.
week over in the House, giving them an update
Cores I'll
on
manage
just
my
how things
trade
are
on
going
Friday,
as
so I'm
far
probably
as
making a little bit back here in
the
Cores.
troubled healthcare.gov to get
I'm
it to
just
work
leaving it on until
smoothly.
Friday.
Max Baucus, the
I'm up
chairman
20 bucks
of
today
the
in
House,
Cores.
the Senate Finance Committee.
The spreads were about 425. I sold it at 413.
How the rollout had proceeded.
Cores.
He had said he was the one who famously said last April when Kathleen Sebelius was here, he was worried that this would become a train wreck, and certainly there are many who would describe it as such. But he did say in his opening statement he didn't think that it was time to change the person at the head of this situation. He didn't think that Kathleen Sebelius should step down right now in the midst of the crisis.
Some people have called for your resignation. To borrow Kennedy's words, we cannot
Future's selling
fix
off
the blame
here.
for the past.
Future's selling off.
You need to stay at HHS
Still
until
have 9.5.
the marketplace is working.
In his opening statement, Senator Orrin Hatch, the minority leader in the committee, said that he was still very concerned about the administration's comments
PBI
about
selling
all
off.
of these
The market sells off.
plans, and we'd like to
PBI
hear
will
more
sell
about
off
that.
with
This
it.
is something that Republicans have been hammering at the administrations about, with the president, of course, having said, if you like your plan, you can keep it. And now
Yeah,
millions
FE
of
is up a little
Americans
bit
having
today.
their plans canceled. Interestingly
2%
enough,
today. That's kind of a
last
lot.
night, ahead of tonight's hearing, Senator Hatch also put out a
Like I said
notice
earlier
saying
today,
that he's
I'm more of
concerned
a
about
seller
the
today than I am a
calculation
buyer.
of tax credits that will
I did
happen
buy
with
some
Obamacare,
PBI calls,
given that there have been
and I am
some
down
issues with
$84
earned
right now
income
on
tax
PBI.
credits from the IRS. He's worried that this will also be a problem here. We'll have more coming up as the hearing continues. Back to you.
A lot to cover. Thank you so much, our Bertha Coombs down in Washington. As we said earlier, the Dow's at a record high, up 94 points. A lot of that's being driven by Microsoft, on pace for the largest yearly gain since 2009. This is a 12-year high for Microsoft. We talked to Rich Sherlin, guys, earlier in the show, who believes not only that Mullally is the guy to replace Ballmer, but that Ballmer will leave sooner than anybody expected, that the company will essentially be blown up, David?
Yeah, he also was indicating that he thinks that Bill Gates will or should somehow get more involved, which I would find to be something of a stretch. But hey, Sherlin's out there. I mean, you know, go ahead, take a shot.
He's added about $10 billion worth to the stock as well, that analysis. Which isn't bad for a morning's work, is it?
If in fact it is all, Rick. Let's get Sharon Epperson over at the NYMEX. Got some crude inventory, Sharon.
That's right.
Crude inventories number,
Just
crude
from
inventories
the Energy
number.
Department showing that crude oil supplies rose by 1.6 million barrels in the last
Rose
week.
one
up
by
by
1.6 million
Now,
barrels.
that is less than what analysts surveyed by Platts had expected, and it's a little bit more than the build that the American Petroleum Institute report showed last night. But what people have been really waiting for to see what happened with refined
Futures only up
fuels and gasoline
7.75
supplies
now.
in the last week. In
Sharp
fact,
sell-off
declined
here.
by about 3.8 million barrels, by 3.8 million barrels. Now that is greater than the decline that analysts had anticipated. We saw a big decline of about 4 million barrels in the API report, and that has been somewhat bullish for gasoline futures going into this session. We're also looking at distillate fuel supplies that are down by about 4.9 million barrels, also greater than what analysts had expected. So it is refined fuels that have really helped to lift prices right now. We are looking at oil prices that are up about $1 at 94.45. Keep in mind, though, this is still very close to a 5-month low for crude oil. And a big part of the reason why
Crude
we've
oil
been
5-month
seeing
low.
gasoline prices at the pump continuing to slide. We'll see
Tesla
if that trend continues to
151.
delay, saying
Ooh.
$3.10 a gallon will be the national average by the end of the year. Back to you.
All right, Sharon, thank you so much.
Autodesk
When we come
down on
back,
the day.
Zillow CEO Spencer Rascoff knows a thing or two about social media. Have you been following his tweets just today? He used it to solicit questions for his interview with the president a few months ago, and he'll join us live to talk about social media, what he thinks of Twitter's IPO, and of course, Zillow's
Apple down
Twitter
6.
when we come back after the break.
Noble down on the day. Oh, Noble getting pounded. I was gonna sell all my calls for $1.50 and I decided not to. I have 12 of them left. Noble, NBL. Not a good day for Noble. Big reversal. I almost clicked the sell button in Noble. Almost. Ugh. So I'm still in Noble to the long side. Core selling off. Pepsi higher. Coach higher. Can you Skype with some guy? I'll send it to you. So futures are up as much as 13. I think they're down 5 from the highs. www, 4 W's, web.com. I think I'm in an oil timeout after today. Sandridge 605. I'm not looking to add to PBI at all. I will not add to PBI cheaper. Take an audio break here in about 10 minutes, guys. We're going to take an audio break here in about 10 minutes. I was up much more money this morning. I've given some of it back as the market has rolled over here.
Twitter, as you may know by now, intends to sell 70 million shares
Apple on
in
the
its
5.
IPO tomorrow. Question is, who
and
is
the
getting
15
a
is
piece
very
of that
weak.
pie? Our Kayla Tausche's back at HQ with some answers on that. Morning, Kayla.
Good morning, Carl. If you want to get in on this deal, it's likely you'll have to wait until it starts trading tomorrow. Twitter's underwriters, I'm told, are keeping the pre-IPO shares very close to the vest and divvying up most of the 70 million share pie to blue chip managers like Fidelity, Vanguard, BlackRock, and T. Rowe Price, many of whom already had Twitter shares from previous fundraising rounds. That's going to drive demand in the open market way up, since other institutions will be clamoring to get into those shares alongside retail investors. Portfolio managers at 2 large tech funds told me this might be the first time ever they get 0 shares in an IPO, though the final allocations won't be disclosed until tomorrow morning. So what will each of the banks get? Well, in terms of fees, Goldman Sachs is reportedly nabbing 38.5%, with Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan around half of that, and then the rest of the banks get the remainder of that. But normally fees correspond to the portion of shares these banks have to sell, but since relationships with some of these large institutional money managers overlap, it's unclear how exactly that will shake out. But when I asked one source, Simon, whether the deal would have any pre-IPO shares offered to the retail investor, I was told simply they'd be better off calling their broker tomorrow for when those shares start trading.
CLDT.
So we'll have to see what happens after that. Simon, back to you.
Let's in the meantime just highlight, though, what the Journal calls an information gap between the retail investor and those on the inside,
NAT.
those big Wall Street firms that are part of the IPO. And they have been the ones that have sat down with the executives. They know the business better than anybody else. According to the Journal, their estimates of revenue growth for 2015 are 28% below the revenue estimates of those that are outside, the very few that are outside the IPO process.
Nothing to do here.
And Simon, that article specifically relates to this information gap among analysts. Some analysts have had access to management, some haven't. Now, we did talk to some investors at the roadshow in New York who said that there was some talk about 2015 estimates, $1.3 billion roughly for revenue. 200 million monthly active users. That 2015 estimate is key because that's when a lot of people expect, the pendulum to swing to profitability for Twitter. So those are the numbers that are out there, Simon. But yeah, if you haven't had access to management, if you haven't been in some of those rooms, you wouldn't know that number. But that's why we're reporting it to you.
Boyd's starting to move up here a little bit.
And we love you for it. Thank you very much, Kayla. Kayla Tausche back at HQ. Let's hop over to Scott Cohn in that same room for some breaking news here. Scott?
Carl, yet another one falls in the government's sweeping probe of insider trading. Sandeep Agarwal, who was a sell-side analyst, an occasional guest on CNBC as well, has agreed to plead guilty. He was charged back in July with providing insider information to a portfolio manager at SAC Capital, Richard Lee. Lee has since pleaded guilty, and Agarwal now apparently is in a plea agreement with the government. This disclosed in a court filing a short time ago. The U.S. Attorney's Office not giving any details of the plea agreement. Agarwal is due in court on Tuesday. It would bring to, by our count, 76 the number of individuals that have been ensnared and pleaded guilty or convicted in this insider trading probe. Of course, SEC Capital, the big fish, pleading guilty to criminal charges or agreeing to plead guilty to criminal charges and pay a $1.2 billion penalty just this week. Guys? The biggest
Keep an eye on
ever
the
stock.
stock.
Thank you very
Stock's
much.
trading
As we await
10.19
Twitter's
at
IPO
10.20.
tomorrow, one company that's taking
700
full
on the
advantage
offer.
of the social network
Now there's
is
1,000
the
on the offer.
online marketplace Zillow.
I have no
Earlier on
desire
this
to trade this
program,
till the
Jim
offer size
talked about
decreases to
Zillow's
at
use
least
of
like
Twitter.
100 lot. Okay.
His tweet
BYD
right before his
Nova
conference
11.
call started
See
was,
about
let's
6,000 of
get
these
this
bought.
party
Pretty bullish
started.
activity here
I
in
mean,
Boyd.
this is the new
The offer
CEO,
size.
right?
Okay.
Whether it be
They're bigger
playing
than me.
hard for
The offer size is
Barracuda,
bigger than me.
or whether
There's
he's like doing
1,000
a
offers.
jock
See
jam
some
conference call.
TNGO. Fab
Here with the
quarters
first
being
on
bought.
CNBC
Tango.
interview, Spencer Raskoff,
Tango,
the
tango,
CEO
tango, tango.
of Zillow. Jim
Fab
Cramer
quarters
clearly
being
precedes
bought.
you on the side.
No desire to trade those.
So
Like
we must talk about your quarter first of all. What is really, and you just reported,
So
what is
there's
really interesting
sometimes
is
where you have to
despite
jump
the
in
fact
right
that
way,
mortgage
right away,
originations
and
were
there's
down with the
sometimes you
big
don't.
banks and everybody
Okay.
was
Boyd is one of
worried
them.
about a cooling
Okay.
off
There's
of the
1,000
housing
offer.
market.
Okay.
You managed to battle
1,000
through
offer.
that really quite
So I don't need to buy
spectacularly.
any of
We had a
them
great
right
quarter. It was a
1,000
revenue beat,
lot
an EBITDA beat, EPS beat, and what's driving it is audience separation. Advertisers
Keep an eye on
follow
it.
audience,
Maybe buy them.
and Zillow is the
Offer
largest real
si-
estate site in
offer
the country
size
and in every major
decreases.
city, but
Offer
we're
size
gaining
goes to
share.
about
So we're already the
200
big dog
I'll
in
buy
terms of traffic, but
But I
we're
don't
getting
have to
even
buy
bigger,
these yet.
and that's what's
Okay.
driving the business
We bought about
results.
6,000
According
of these,
to
so
Comscore,
58.80
34% of the market now.
times,
What is the strategy to
0.15
maintain that and
times
double
100.
down on it?
We
It's about
spend
$88,000
hundreds of millions of dollars on
for a hedge
product
fund
development
that's
to build great mobile
They could be buying
services
these
and a
calls
great
and shorting
website,
the
and then we
stock
spend
rate,
tens of millions of dollars in advertising to amplify that. So we're big advertisers on TV and online, and that's what's driving our category share leadership.
You're becoming like the Jeff Bezos of the housing market in that every quarter is a great quarter with a loss. You keep talking about the trade-offs of profitability. When does that change?
Well, there are some similarities in that we see this huge market opportunity in front of us just in real estate, $35 billion in advertising, and Amazon is chasing this huge pie of all commerce revenue. We're still in heavy investment mode. We still feel like the brand white space is significant. Most people in the U.S. can't name a real estate website.
It's 730 offered.
So
No,
this is not
1,000
the time for margin maximization. Okay. This is the time to lean forward and invest to grow towards the long term.
Let's talk about Twitter's IPO tomorrow. It's just over 2
keep an eye
years
on
since
these.
your own stock hit the market. Priced at 20, rose 79% on the first day. Well, what's your advice on the pricing for Twitter tonight? What should they do, in your view? How much should they leave on the table?
Well, I think they should. They've already indicated what they're going to do by raising the price and during the during the roadshow. I think they are anxious to not leave too much money on the table. It is such an imperfect, opaque market. Trying to price an IPO with imperfect information and constrained supply, it's a very hard trick to pull off.
But there does seem to be a rule for the retail investor. If they're not able to get in on the original pricing, is to wait. And if I look at your own stock, for example, you priced it at 20, you went way up, and then you came down even last November to 24 before the big ascent this year. So for retail investors, there is a rule of thumb. Hang back, because the froth comes out of most of these internet IPOs.
It is very hard for retail investors to play IPOs, as the last report just highlighted. There's imperfect access to information. There's imperfect access to liquidity of the stock. So I am an avid user of the service. I have 20,000 Twitter followers. I've sent 10,000 tweets. I love it. I use it every day constantly. And I'm incredibly long-term bullish on the company.
Now
As a
there's
retail investor,
is
it's
that
very
93
difficult
or
to participate
930?
in IPO.
941 left.
Similarities to Amazon.
980. I'm going to queue up a 30 lot, guys.
Give me some time. Amazon has been
Queue up a
around.
30 lot.
Amazon's about
I want the
15 years
offer
older
size
than
to
us.
start to
Yeah.
decrease to
On
at least
that point, though, I mean, how
300
large
or
do you
less.
think the market is?
I
and the
won't take it unless
opportunity
the offer
is?
size
It's hard to
decreases
put
to
numbers
300 or less.
We're dramatically
Or if the stock goes like
underpenetrated
10,
relative to the size
25
opportunity.
bids,
So,
there's
for
only
example, our core
981,
business is selling
941,
advertising to real estate
981,
agents. That
941.
business is at around 120, 130
Maybe the
million
stock goes
revenue
10,
run rate.
25 bid, I'll
Agents
buy
spend
some of
almost
these.
$10 billion a year in
Boyd
advertising.
Gaming.
So just on that one
You
business,
know, you
which
could
is
buy
our most mature
these,
business, we're dramatically
plenty of stuff out
underpenetrated.
there.
Rentals and mortgages are even less
Plenty of
penetrated.
stuff
So we have a
out
long
there.
way to go. We're just getting started.
Nice to see you again,
990
Spencer.
981
Thank you for the time.
offer.
Thank you.
Spencer Raskoff there, the CEO of Zillow.
If you don't know by
981
now, New
offer.
York City has a new mayor, Democrat Bill de Blasio,
Back down.
won last night. A landslide victory. I think it was the biggest margin since '85. Ed Koch will find out why his win could have huge implications for New York's real estate market, and not necessarily in a good way. Super broker Dolly Lenz will join us live when we come back.
To live that fantasy. Keep an eye on Boyd. Haven't done anything yet. Now stock's getting a bid. There's 823 offered, 873, 923 again. I'm better off buying these with stock higher, right? Because they do have a delta. 923 offered. It's like watching paint dry. 923 offered. I have 30 of them queued up right now. I have 30 of these queued up in Boyd. I want this offer size to decrease. Offer size to decrease. I want the offer size to go down about 300. You know, if the stock goes 1025 bid, most likely the offer size will start to decrease. I don't need to buy them right now, because if I buy them right now, they'll still be offered. So it's like I'm up. There they go. I'm buying some, guys. I just bought 30 of them. Just bought 30 of them. I thought I saw stock start to go a little bit. Stock's starting to go here a little bit. I bought 30 of them. There's still 600 offered. I saw the stock like jump up really quickly. I'm gonna offer some as quickly as 25 cents. So Boyd, I'm in these. I'm gonna offer some at 25, 35, and 45. Okay. So I'm in these at 15 cents. See, the stock started to pop up a little bit, so I wanted to get in. Okay. So I'll offer some as little as 25 cents. Okay. So this is how I look at this stuff, okay? Old market maker trick. So entry to open. And filled. I bought 30 BYD Nove. 11 calls for 15 cents. Confidence is a 5, and I have $450 of risk. So not a big trade here, $500 of risk. Targets 25, 35, and 45. Okay. So new trade in Boyd Gaming. I'm buying some calls here. Unusual option activity. Boyd Gaming calls. I'm buying them. Buy them. Offering them as quickly as 25 cents. Boyd Gaming. Does anybody have any questions? Take about a couple minutes here if you guys have any questions. Okay, before we take our audio break.
Democrat Bill de Blasio won a landslide victory to become the next mayor of New York City, but with his proposed tax hikes for the wealthy, what will be the implications for the city's luxury real estate market?
These are November, so they will decay away.
Dolly Lenz, the founder of Dolly Lenz Real Estate and a CNBC contributor. It's good to have you back, Dolly. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
He's been pretty clear about this. Taxes will go up. Some call it the return of liberalism. Is it bad for the housing market?
All right, thanks, guys. We'll take a little audio break here, and then I will see you guys a little bit this afternoon.
Real estate market